probably the single biggest thing that I have found that helps my productivity is knowing when to work and when to not work, specifically when to not work and when to stop working. This is like, I have tried all the 300,000 like weird and silly productivity hacks like that you've seen on the internet. There was a point in time I would literally try and like strap myself to my chair to stay like in front of my laptop. It was ridiculous. Like I was always like, I've always been trying this random stuff. And the singular biggest thing that made a difference has been knowing when to stop working and knowing how to leverage that like little bit of rest time. For context, I've been running a software company for the past 3 years, and generally for the past I don't know how many years, I've just been somebody who works a lot, mainly out of a love for an interest for projects and tinkering and things like that. And I work a lot, but nonetheless, I think knowing when to stop has been a really like fundamentally useful shift in my understanding of myself, my productivity, my willpower, kind of how it ebbs and flows and things like that. Now, I wanted to start by pointing out that there's this really great experiment that showed how human willpower is a bit like a muscle and it fatigues. And it's actually, I got it from the example is mentioned in the book, like 33 Laws of Business and Life by Stephen Bartlett or something. I think it's a pretty good book. I'm kind of halfway through it. And one of the experiments he mentions is like, there was this research study where they gave two groups of people the two bowls, and there was a bowl of like turnips and a bowl of cookies. And group A was told, hey, you can eat as many cookies as you like. And group B was told, you cannot eat the cookies. You have to sit in front of them and you're not allowed to eat the cookies. They both have the same bowls, whatever. And then, 10 minutes in or 15 minutes or half an hour or however long it is, I can't remember, the researchers come in and they give both of these groups, group A and B, the same impossible problem. So they're given an impossible task. And they measured, what they were measuring is how long does each group try the task, try to solve it until they give up. On average, group A, which was the group that could eat as many cookies as they wanted, lasted, I think, 18 minutes. And then group B, that had to stop themselves from eating the cookies, lasted only 8. That is less than half. And that example basically illustrates, if you exercise your willpower in something, for example, not eating cookies, you are slowly depleting it. And when you have to then apply that willpower onto some kind of difficult task, in this case of that impossible problem, you have already depleted, you have like kind of pre-fatigued that willpower and focus, and so you have less of that left. And this is something I really didn't understand for the longest time. Like when I was 13, I don't know why, but I just got interested in productivity. And my first instinct was like, okay, well, if I work every single hour of the day and I focus blah blah blah, like I can work 172 hours per week. It's ridiculous, right? And why can't we do that? It's because we have a very limited number of focus hours per week. And the thing that I have found when I make the most progress, when I am kind of like, I describe productivity as getting the most kind of output per unit of time, which is a definition that I really like from Hormozy. But when I have been the most productive and moved the important things forward the fastest has always been when I have been A, focused on the right things, and B, consistently been working. And so I have had periods where I am able to work extremely long hours. And I'm talking like, start of the day until the end of the night. But that pace is not sustainable over a long period of time. And so it ends up actually, it tends to ruin my schedule, because what happens is like, I get into this, I do some super long work days, but then my schedule's kind of turned, it's completely flipped around. And then because I've depleted all of my kind of willpower and fatigued it toward the evening, when I wake up, I have none to go into and focus things. And then it just drags on into this state of like procrastination, and like I'm avoiding things that I need to be doing. So I'm not totally resting because I'm still like stressing about them. It just works really badly. And recently, especially, and I'm talking like this has been a change over the past few months, I've really been starting to observe the kind of way that my focus ebbs and flows. And I have found that if I manage it carefully, I have to slot in a little bit of time where my brain is able to switch off from the thing that it was doing. And crucially, one of the things that has really helped me is if I want to focus really well first thing in the morning, I cannot go to sleep focusing really hard. So if I go to sleep while exercising a lot of this like focus and I pre-fatigue that, when I wake up, I don't wake up with it ready to go again. And this is just my experience. This is subjective. I suggest everybody to kind of like study themselves and observe. But learning when to not work, I think, is one of the most useful lessons you can have in how to work more, ironically, as awkward and contradictory as that sounds. But I do want to caveat this by saying I think most people don't understand what it is to truly work. What I mean by that is a lot of people can sit behind a laptop and reply to emails and kind of like, look at Slack messages and do a bit of this and then like get up and go get water and then come back, and they're all unfocused. They're jumping between meetings. They're not really like, that is not the type of work that I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is like deep focus blocks, which I think are the most important in kind of moving the important things forward. And so, for example, I don't generally consider meetings to be work. I don't consider like these little tasks, little to-dos. I don't really consider that work. I think about work in terms of large chunks of time where I am exercising a lot of focus, a lot of concentration on one particular task. And to get more of that per week, I have found the best thing is knowing how to control. And like, you could argue, oh, just work until you feel like the need to rest and then that's it. The thing is though, sometimes you still have a little bit where you can force yourself to concentrate a little bit more, but that will come at the cost of the next day's focus. Or if you also push through it the next day, that will come at the cost, but a greater cost the day after that. And you build up this debt. That debt will build up over time. Like you're lying to yourself if you think you can just focus for 12 hours straight consistently for, let's say, a year. Like it's just our brains lack this capacity. And there's a lot of studies on concentration and things like that. And I would also say it's like learning how long your focus sessions should be is something very personal. For me, there's a lot of people who do the Pomodoro technique, 25 minutes of focus, 5 minutes of rest. For me, that's horrible. I hate that. If I get into a flow state and I stop it after 25 minutes, I'm going to get distracted. For me to get back into that, like it's not helpful to have that 5-minute break. I'd rather do 2 hours straight and then a half-hour break or something like that. Like that's what works for me. For other people's that 25-minute like focus slot. So I think studying yourself is a really important aspect of this as well, and understanding what are your trends. And this doesn't come from a place of like, oh, you need time for healing and things like this. It's not about that. It's just recognizing natural limits. And if a period of rest helps you get more done and get more focus in your next period of work, then that is productive, right? You are using that time productively. And so I think that's been a really big learning for me. And for anybody who has to work a lot, especially for people who have to work alone, because you have to self-regulate very much. And that is one of the largest challenges, I would say, is like being able to self-regulate your focus and your work hours and things like that is a really, really large challenge to do so on a consistent basis, to produce consistent focus and things like that. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts and my 2 cents, having done this for a very long time and running my company. I have to work a lot, and I have to work a lot alone because it's an online company, and that comes with certain benefits, but it also comes with certain disadvantages. And one of those is, well, I'm pretty much alone all the time. Like I don't mind it, but that does have disadvantages in terms of workflow and things because, I don't have a group of other people who are all working around me, which help me concentrate. That can help as well, but sometimes you don't have access to that. You just got to work with what you have. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you've made it this far and you do like my stuff, apparently 84% of people who watch my videos are not subscribed. So if you want to support me, go ahead and do that. Or, comment if you have any other interests or questions about how I think about things, because I do read those and I kind of try and grab video ideas from them. So that's pretty much it.